All right, so I guess I'm gonna welcome everybody back to another great week of Cascarita. I guess this is the first like kind of formal introduction that we're doing this time around. So if it's kind of butchered, it's all on me. Hopefully y'all will do better than me. But again, on my name here, I'm Ed. I'm one of the hosts here. We've got Raymond over here. Got Rigo, although his name says F80043, whatever that is. Got
That's from work. That's from
got,
work.
That's from work.
we got
Yeah.
Jorge here also, and then Juanito or Juan. So welcome back, everybody. Let's see. We already started this a little early. We're talking about taxes. Not everybody finds taxes exciting, but as long as it saves us money, I think
Good info, man.
good information to have. So I think Rigo, are you pulling up some information right now?
Yeah, so we're checking out what was on the stimulus bill and what was actually being spent. So as you guys know, that there's going to be a stimulus bill for $1.9 trillion. And I'm going to share my screen what we're actually spending this money on. Hold up, guys.
Yeah, Raymond. I also wanted to ask you about like how like the DACA. How does that work? Do they get stimulus?
Hey, hold up, guys. Do you guys want to look at this first, and then we can
Yeah,
expand
let's
from
look at
that?
that. Yeah, and just to
Yeah.
kind of get a better idea.
So, can you guys see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Making
you
sure
can.
you don't have the Pornhub tab open.
Yeah, I'm looking at
This is
You're good.
This is
Calcium.
work, dude.
What's
This
calcium
is
hydroxide, man? What does that do? Stop fires?
huh?
Calcium
Oh.
hydroxide.
Oh, I was looking at ways to neutralize some acid.
Oh shit.
Oh, don't give away some confidential work information.
There's no confidential work. I'm sure that's very basic in chemistry.
Yeah, man.
Anyways,
Oh, act like you knew what he was talking about.
Dude, I said that was to stop fires. That's what it's
Oh
for.
wow, 1,400 per dependent.
Right, Rigo?
right.
All right.
So we're going over the bill, and the bill, as you know, people that are making $75,000 will be getting $1,400 on the stimulus check.
Married couples.
Married couples making under $150,000 would receive $1,400 per person. So that's $2,800. That's pretty good.
Dang.
Some pretty good cash.
Okay. But don't forget, it's 1,400 per dependent as well. So for each kid, you get another.
Yeah, each
1,400.
kid gets some too, huh? That is true.
Well, I have my input on that here in a minute also.
So if you're making above 80,000 or at 80,000, then pretty much it disappears, the payment.
Ooh, I'm glad. For individuals though.
For individuals,
Yeah, that's right. Well, married is what, at 150? Some shit like that?
160.
160. Yeah.
Oh,
For
okay.
married couples, because I believe from 150 to 160 it starts going down.
Yeah.
Until you 160 and then
Well, I thought it disappeared completely after 80.
Once after 160.
80 stacks. Oh, okay.
For married couples. For married couple. Yeah.
It's 160.
Not bad.
So there's a boost on unemployment, $300 per week.
No shit, man.
Yeah,
That's also and let's
Wow.
not get confused, is that $300 is also on top of what the state pays you.
exactly.
Dude, and the job report just came out, man. Like, we're apparently going back to normal. Like,
Bro, it seems like it. Yeah, there's a lot more.
I don't think so. I think
man, the
saw
job
that
report. This is we've been having a good turnout.
Okay, yeah, I think
less people filing for unemployment is what it was.
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean people have jobs.
Yeah,
that's less people getting that money.
I think what I saw was that there was still like it was like at an all-time low still as far as like the jobless market.
Right.
Yeah, talking about what Ed just mentioned is that, so you got to remember, governments and states, they're real big bitches about how they fudge the numbers. So unemployment, you always got to look at how they're defining unemployment and what they define as someone who's unemployed. Unemployed doesn't necessarily mean somebody that doesn't have a job or is not working. It's just It's based on the
That way.
definition that particular state has set for that. So it's actually weird that we're all talking about this right now. I was actually watching John Oliver's thing last night about unemployment and how like basically our system is kind of broke. I guess it's broken depending on who's asking, right? On what your perspective is.
Mhm.
A lot of states put a lot of roadblocks as to who can actually qualify for unemployment. Obviously, some people are going to look at those roadblocks and say, hey, that's fucked up. You shouldn't put roadblocks to that. And other people are going to be like, going to take the position, no, we need those roadblocks to prevent people who don't deserve it from getting it, right? So I guess we can ask that question, where does everybody stand on people getting unemployment? And why? Why do you feel like that?
I'm with
Are you asking us?
the senator of Texas.
What did he? Who's the senator of Texas?
The guy that put the Facebook post.
Oh,
That's a
you're-
mayor,
What's his
dude.
name? Oh, the mayor.
That's a mayor, dude.
Yeah.
Senators like Ted Cruz. I mean,
Right,
he's
right.
one of them. He's one of
mayors
them.
That guy,
from Texas. His Facebook.
Yeah, like
But
the
nah,
guy
man.
said,
I
you guys
mean,
are on
if you
your
need
own.
it, I mean, fuck. I mean, you gotta get it, right? I mean,
But the thing. So here's the thing. So I'm always my position on shit, right? So you always have to look at the grand scheme of things, right? If your goal is, I want zero fraud, I want zero people to get things fraudulently, you're never gonna have that, right? So you're what's the waste? You have to include waste into whatever thing you're doing, right? So I'm gonna use a really simple example. So when I worked at Hardee's and we were doing inventory, built into the inventory of Hardee's, you knew you were going to get a certain number of waste each week, right? So you're never going to get zero waste. But you knew typically somebody's going to fuck up X number of times. Let's keep that number there. Now, if it went above that, then you can make the determination, oh, somebody's sneaking sandwiches away and getting free sandwiches, right? So if you apply the same concept to unemployment or welfare or whatever, you always know you're going to get a certain number of population, a certain segment of the population. There's always going to be a certain number that's going to commit fraud, right? So the question you should be asking yourself is, do I really care enough about that group of people that I'm willing to restrict it, that I might be catching people that actually do need it in order to stop the people who don't, right? So
that makes sense.
So let's say there's 10 people who are in need, right? And one of them, for a fact, out of 10 people, one person is going to commit fraud. Well, how do you set your restrictions? Do you set your restrictions so that you always keep it at that one number, always going to get 1% of fraud? Or are you going to set your restrictions so restricted that you're going to prevent 4 people from getting welfare or whatever, even though those 4, 3 of those people actually need it? But essentially what you're doing is you're punishing in order to punish the one person for fraud, you're punishing 3 other extra people, right? Because if you look,
so 80,000 is that sweet point,
Yeah, exactly. For the check.
right?
Yeah.
No, that's Raymond's talking about the unemployment.
Yeah, because I was
not the phasing
saying
out for
Raymond,
the payment.
but-
Yeah.
No.
Give me an example.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
So for example, in unemployment, like this, I'm gonna use an antidote. This is what I remember. Like I remember I helped somebody else try to apply for unemployment, and in order to even qualify to be eligible for unemployment, regardless of whether it was your fault or not that you lost your job, they were requiring you to like apply for a job 3 or 4 times a week, to have certain number of requirements you have to make. Like I think it was like attend some classes or some of their workshops and all of this shit. You had to do that weekly in order to continue receiving the unemployment, right?
Did you have to do that last year or whenever COVID started? as well?
No. Not. I'm
Like
talking about
now, like we said.
No. I don't know anything
like-
about recently. This is like 7, 8, 9 years ago that
Oh,
I
okay.
went with somebody
Still
to
the
the
same
unemployment
way.
office.
Okay.
So the argument is, you take somebody like, for instance, let's say I lost my job, right? And I tried to apply for unemployment. In the middle, instead of just giving me the help I immediately need, forcing me to go through all these roadblocks, you're gonna make me want to say, fuck this. I'm not gonna deal with this shit. This is too stupid for me to deal with. And essentially what you happen is that this benefit that I should be getting, I'm not getting it because you've made it too difficult for me to even attempt, right? So when you look at shit like, even the application process online might sometimes be really difficult and really hard to manage. Like, I know with all of this in COVID, my dad had troubles finding work. And when he tried to apply with the unemployment office in Tennessee, that website is fucking ridiculous.
I'm looking at it right now. It's like pretty. There's a lot of shit.
It's easier to go through the app.
It's just, well, the thing is,
It's not even that. It's just their equipment is so old out there.
Yeah,
one of the biggest problems that they have.
Like, I could never get my dad to log in. Like, I tried it like 8 different ways, and it would just never let me log in to even file a claim, right?
Well, there's have you heard about the Reddit thing they have for unemployment? Where that's all they do is they keep up with like each state. Each state has their Reddit thing.
But here's
pretty cool.
But here's the thing, George. Should somebody who's going through a difficult time, obviously their state of mind is not in the perfect place, should they have to go through all these fucking hoops instead of their government saying, hey, you were fired, it's not your fault, here's money, right? Here's money to get you back on your feet until you can find another job, right? And so a lot of people argue like, well, if we give people money, they're not going to want to go get a job. That's bullshit. That, to me, that's a bullshit argument. There's always going to be one person, un vago, that's going to do that. But the majority of people don't like staying at home, not doing anything. There's
don't you think that if that was the case, more people would just, slack at work, get fired, and then get unemployment?
No, I don't think so. There's this whole
that much. Like, it's not that much.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
People act like you're getting money on these programs to live like a king, and really you're living. It's the bare minimum. It's like
life. Yeah.
For there's this whole philosophical like idea that man finds purpose in the things that they do, right? So a lot of people get happiness from being able to have a job, from being able to come at the end of the day and say, I did something with my life today that added value to either society or to my family. Now, we find value in different things, right? So like, if you come home from long days of work, you find happiness that you were able to provide for your family. You're able to, you did a job well done, and you're getting paid a decent wage for that, right? Vast majority of people feel like that. That's why when you look at people who don't have a job, who are on unemployment, you see a lot of levels of depression and a lot of level of unfulfillment because they're not being able to, they don't feel useful, right? To say, oh, if we give these benefits out, more people are going to stay at home, that's bullshit. You're always going to have a certain segment of the population that's going to do that, someone who's going to try to abuse the system. And that's what I was talking about with waste. You have to build that into the system. You have to say, okay, 10%
those people are waste. You do waste management.
Yeah, 10% of the people are going to commit fraud, and 10% of the people are going to not go back to work or whatever. We as a society, we're willing to put up with those people in order to help out the other 90% of the people that can help it. But a lot of the times I feel what happens is we say we're so focused on punishing that 10% that we're also willing to punish the other 90. If that makes sense. So you know, all these people that are against welfare and against like food stamps and all that shit. Man, I've been on fucking food stamps, and that shit was a fucking lifesaver when I needed it. And I was never more happy in my life when I got off food stamps. And I was able to say, I don't fucking need food stamps anymore. I'm able to provide for myself and do things. And I wasn't on food stamps. I was on food stamps when I was working 40, 60 hours a week, and I was going to school full time, and it's just no me ajustaba. Like I had, you know, I had two kids, or I had a kid at the time, and then I had a second one, and I was trying to get ahead in my life, and I still needed that help to get fucking groceries. Now, some people will say, no, we need to cut back on food stamps because some people, you know, the welfare queen, they eat lobster. Well, you know, so you're willing to punish her, and your effort to punish her, you're going to punish somebody like me who used the system for what it was. Because when you restrict on one, you restrict on all. Because that's how the system works. You can't. There's really no way you can say they're gonna nitpick and find them. They just do
too many
blanket
people, man.
restrictions. Exactly.
It's
So
too many. Can't do that.
as a society, you ask yourself, who do I care more about? Do I care about the guy committing fraud, or do I care about the guy that needs it? Right? I always like to think I care more about the guy that needs it than I care about the guy who's committing fraud. El que está cometiendo fraud, that guy's never going to really get anywhere in life, right? You know, you get your $400, $500 in food stamps. He's never going to be able to live in a mansion. He's never going to be able to get ahead in a stage of life where I'm going to be envious of that. So I don't care. You get your whatever, commit all the fraud you want. If all of your motivation is to stay in that level of zone, that level of poverty, cool for you.
Yeah, I wonder what the thing is. Like, I'm sure there's been studies on parents who took welfare, and then their kids end up doing the same thing, and it's just a cycle, you know, a cycle of shit.
And so
that happens in the Hispanic community, man. Like, we're just stuck in that same mindset. You know, so you can also look at it like that, how that's affecting, you know, people.
Here's my counter proposal to that, right? If you take the parents' welfare away, who's the person that gets affected the most in that situation?
Of course, the kids.
The kids. So in your effort to punish the parents for doing something bad, you're willing to let children starve. So welfare, the welfare state, or the people who, you know, that money that person's getting, is that really the cause of the cycle of poverty? Like, so if tomorrow we took away all of the welfare programs, right, and we said no more welfare, you figure that out on your own, do we break the cycle of poverty?
I mean, it's not going to be like that, you know. It's not instantaneous.
No, I'm not asking instantaneous. I'm asking, do you eventually get rid of the poverty problem?
No, there's always going to be people that just are not willing to work. You know. Okay. And that's always going to be the case.
Here's my
There's so many people.
No, so here's it's interesting that you would say you equate poverty with a lack of work, right? So
I think that's where
do you believe that poverty is solely a cause of people not working?
No, I mean, not because there's health issues as well. There's mental issues that you just can't.
Well, it can be as simple as how much you make. Like, I mean, if you're working at a fast food restaurant 40 hours a week, you're like, by standards, whatever state you're living in or federal standards, you're living in poverty because you're not making enough. It's not like because you're not working, it's just you're not making enough. It can be as simple as that, be considered, you know, to be in poverty.
Yeah.
So I went to McDonald's this morning, and I saw on the window it said they were hiring people up to $9.50 an hour. So most McDonald's are not going to hire you, or you're not going to work 40 hours a week. You're looking at about 30. But if it is 40, it's $380 before tax. So after tax, you're looking at $330. That's not enough to support a family, especially even if it's like two kids. One, not even a kid, not even yourself.
Yeah, right. But you wouldn't go to McDonald's though. You would probably go to some factory or something if you want to make a little bit more money and
but
take care of your family.
George, but jobs are a finite resource. So
right, man. But I mean, like you said, depending on where you're at, like I mean, if it's a big city, or if you're here or in a small town in Tennessee.
Oh, okay. So let's say let's use Cookville, right? Now, and these are not numbers with any sort of scientific validity, but just an example. Let's say in Cookville, there is 10,000 jobs of those factory jobs, right? So Cookville has a population of what, 50,000 people?
More than that.
Around that. So let's say there's 10,000 jobs where if you work there, you're estás bien, no te falta nada, right?
Right.
So we fill those 10,000 jobs, and there's, let's say, another 10,000 jobs, another 20,000 jobs where really you need two people working one of those jobs to live comfortably, right? So that's 20,000 jobs. We still need to fill another 25,000 people of working age to be able to work and get a wage, right? And the last 25,000 jobs, those are the McDonald's, those are the Walmarts, those are the all of these shit-in jobs, right? It's not like that person can quit Walmart and then go get a factory job if it's not available, right? So how do we address that problem? Because that person is still going to be poor through no fault of their own, not through a lack of desire or lack of motivation, but simply there's no output, right? And the argument I always hear in counter to that is, well, go to school, get an education, make yourself more valuable to get a better job. That's also bullshit, because not everybody has the intelligence and the ability to go to school and become a lawyer, or go to school and become a CPA, or go to school and become an engineer, or go to school and do something with their lives, or doctor that's going to make them move up that ladder. Unfortunately, people are just born dumb. So, porque eres bruto, you don't have the right to not be poor.
So is this why they're trying to up the minimum wage to 15?
Well, I mean, yes and no.
Yeah.
The reason they're trying to go up to 15 is because the idea of minimum wage is that as time went on and because inflation is a thing, that number is supposed to be steadily increasing to match the times that we're going in. I think the minimum wage hasn't increased since 2008, 2009 or something like that.
Yeah. 2009, and the wage right now is like $7.50 or $7.25.
I think it's $7.25. Yeah.
And then the other thing you have to keep in mind is that the minimum wage that Congress is trying to increase is the federal minimum wage, and that wouldn't affect McDonald's and wouldn't affect Walmart and wouldn't affect any of those, because all of those are governed by the state minimum wage and not the federal minimum wage. So that's
what's another federal minimum wage? Like what places? What are some examples
of the federal?
Those are all private companies that public companies that you just mentioned.
I'm asking for people who will be listening to us and want to know.
Asking for what the federal minimum wage would cover?
Yes.
That's like your post office, your federal jobs, maybe
the government paying
government jobs that are linked to the federal government. Walmart, all of that has to be managed by each individual state's minimum wage. That's why I think if you go to California, their minimum wage is a lot higher than what the Tennessee minimum wage is. But then again, state of California's cost of living is a lot more expensive than Tennessee cost of living. So like a national minimum wage wouldn't really work, because then that would mean somebody in Tennessee would be making it's the minimum wage. The idea of the minimum wage is that after a 40-hour work week, that is something you can take home, and you'll be able to afford to live in your area, right? That's the ideal.
So I have pulled up the minimum wage, and as you can see here in Tennessee, where we live, it's $7.25, and there's no state minimum.
Yeah.
They just go with the federal. But you can see other states like California. Let's just look at that. California is $13.
Look at Washington State. That's probably one of the highest ones there is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where's Washington?
Look at fucking Georgia. Did Georgia say 5?
No way.
It was for some exceptions.
Washington State is $13.50, $13.69. You said Alabama?
Georgia.
I saw Georgia that said it's like $5.
Georgia, $5.15. Employees subject to Fair Labor Standard Act must pay the $7.25 federal minimum wage.
$5.50. You're kidding.
Man, look at Florida, $8.56, man.
Yeah, I mean it's
cheap labor.
I think it's an obvious problem, and to kind of wave it away and say go get a better job, that's ignoring the actual situation, which goes back to my whole thing. Do you honestly believe that the welfare state is the reason or the cause behind the cycle of poverty? I don't think it is. I don't think it has anything to do with the cycle of poverty. I think there's como todo en la vida, nothing is that simple. Nothing is black and white. There's so many other factors and nuances going into it that you can't, and this is one of the reasons I hate fucking politicians on both sides, because they like to act like they have the solution to the problem with just one blanket solution.
What would you do
for the poverty?
Yeah.
I think one thing to really address poverty, and when you look at neighborhoods that suffer from continuous poverty, one common factor you see is really bad schools that are very underfunded and really bad. I would fund the schools a shit ton, because an informed public, an informed population is able to better able to manage their finances, better able to make better decisions. There is something to be said. There is la mentalidad del pobre, right? So that's an actual thing. And that's something for a person like me, I grew up in poverty. I have to fight those fucking, the poor mentality urges all the time.
Let me buy a new car and not a house.
Yeah. The inability to not think in the long term, right? To make decisions that benefit you short term, but are gonna fuck you over 2-3 years later. That's a poor person's mentality,
because they don't have the information, man. There's no information out there.
Well, it's not just that. It's a poor person's in survival mode. A poor person can't worry about what's gonna happen to me 2-3 years from now. Si no tengo pa comer hoy, So they're more willing to do that payday loan. They're more willing to do that title loan. They're more willing to do these stupid little decisions that 3 years later fuck them over, right? So they're more willing to sign up with Verizon for that over fucking crazy contract that you get a brand new phone, but you're paying twice the amount for that phone over the length of the contract, right? So they're more willing.
And I was telling you last time, they learned that from their parents and shit like that, and it's just a cycle.
But it's a survival thing, George. You can't tell a person, hey, es más barato if you just drop the $500 on the phone now instead of going in the 3-year contract, because if they drop the $500 now, they don't have groceries for that week, right? So that's not really giving them an option, right? That's not saying.
That's when you think about it, that's most people in America.
Well, I mean that's what I'm saying. That's the poverty cycle. How do you break that? You break that with, I think, better education. I think you break that with better welfare programs. that actually help, not just, you know, get you by. I think you help that with a better minimum wage. So like if you're guaranteed that the job you're going to work at is going to actually cover all your bills, then you don't worry about living paycheck to paycheck, right? So you say, oh, I can save a little on the side. It's just all these little things that can be done in conjunction that I think lead to a better, maybe a not better solution, but a better starting point for a lot of people. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of factors with poverty, and I think to address one and then not address the others leaves wide ranges and gaps. I mean, shit, we can talk about how the criminal system affects poverty of people in poor neighborhoods than they do in other areas. Like, look, for instance, we take the war on drugs, right? So you're more likely to get charged with a possession charge for weed or whatever if you live in a poor neighborhood than if you lived in a white neighborhood or a rich neighborhood, right? And it's not because the people in the rich neighborhoods aren't smoking weed, it's just they're not being policed, right? So one way we can combat poverty is let's get rid of the stupid like 18th century rules on who gets to use drugs and who doesn't get to use drugs, right? Or you know, the way we incarcerate people. If we take a look at, you know, we as a society, especially the American society, we get off on punishing people very severely, without realizing que encarcelando somebody for long periods of time, that's a strain on our economy because we as taxpayers are paying for that person to be in jail. When they get out on jail and if they're a felon, they can't get a job. So then that person is just adding to the cycle of poverty because nobody wants to hire them. Nobody wants to give them work. So as a desperate person, they have to resort back to crime, which just continues that fucking cycle again. There's a lot of shit we can do that we're not doing is essentially what I'm trying to say.
So if I can, we can kind of backtrack. You were talking about the, like, I guess like the, like individuals being more educated and I guess, you know, make education more accessible. One of the things that we had that Juan wrote down was the affordability of college and is free college for everyone. So I guess Juan, if you want to take the lead on that, what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, you know, that's one of the subjects I want to talk to you guys about it because you guys were the ones who went to college, and I've just been hearing a lot of people lately saying that they went to college, paid all this money, get out of college, are in debt, and even if you file for bankruptcy, you can't get out of that, and they don't end up working in their fields. So that's why it just came to mind. What are your guys' thoughts about that?
Hey, just a quick aside. I hear like somebody else talking.
Yeah,
like in the background.
I think it's not me.
Is it a Hispanic dude?
Yeah, some Hispanic dude.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Let's just use our mute buttons, I guess, while we're not talking. Yeah, it was Jorge.
Yeah, I told you. I was like,
let's just utilize that mute button, guys. And then just to kind of add on to just one of your comments, Juan, just you also kind of put in a question, you know, is college a scam? And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that. Like, why did you put that? Is there a reason?
I've been hearing that a lot from I read it somewhere. I don't really remember where I read it, but for that same reason, where you know people are getting all these loans and they're trying to, they have to pay back with all these interest, and so it's like people tell you have to go to college to be successful, and nowadays more and more people don't have to do that. They're finding out that if they can do other things and still be successful. It was that mentality of that, you know, like you have to grow up, have kids, go to college, buy a house, things like that. That's where the subject came in.
Well, so here I'll ask you this question: what do you measure success by?
That's a good question.
Now we're asking the real questions.
I guess yeah.
So you see, because college's value is not intrinsically linked to just a monetary gain, right? So obviously, if what you're measuring success by is like, oh man, I want to make the big bucks, I want to be a big baller, then college might not always be the right solution for you if you're not going for a career that's giving you access to a license, right? So I always tell people who ask me this question, should I go to college? It's like, you should be going to a career that's going to give you, at the end of it, you're going to get a license to practice your career, right? So you're thinking lawyer, doctor, CPA. I don't think engineers need a license, but they're almost there because they have to pass this big exam to be able to, exercise. They have to show qualifications for it.
I think
right?
a PE, like a professional engineer, I think you have to have
yeah. But typically, the rule of thumb is if you're going to go to college, you want to go to college for a career that's going to give you a license at the end of it. So because those are the jobs that are kind of in demand and have actual value in the market, right? If you're measuring success by monetary gain, am I going to get a job at the end of this? But that's not addressing some of the other value that college gives. College gives you, when you're in college, especially in undergrad, you're getting a wide range of knowledge in different areas, right? You're getting history, you're getting art, you're getting music, you're becoming a person of culture, right? So if you look at the history of colleges back in the days, you didn't go to college to be able to get a job. You went to college to be a man of culture, to be a person of culture, somebody of high society where you can have a conversation about, have you heard can we discuss logic? Can we discuss philosophy? Can we discuss all of these things that makes you a person that's able to critically think, right? So college has that value. A person who's educated is able to critically think and able to make, in essence, better decisions, right? The one thing college always gets shit on is for all of these worthless art degrees and all of these worthless music degrees and all of these worthless degrees that don't produce monetary value. I would push back on that just a little bit because, not every person who gets an art degree is going to become the next Picasso, but they're the people who work in like graphic design, that work in making PR or making, coloring books, like the coloring book you buy your daughter, some person has to do that job. Some person's making those drawings that eventually get mass reproduced. That music, maybe they're not going to be the next Beyonce, but they're doing music editing and they're doing all the different work and that stuff. So how is college a scam? Depends on how you measure success, right? If success is dinero, 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 then yeah, college might be a scam. But if your success is, well, I want to be a person who's just not ignorant, a person that is not going to be sold on all the time, then college might have some value for you. Which goes back to that question is, should college be free? I think college should be free. I think if we have more people who are being exposed to different theories of thought, more people who know about US history or know more about European history or know more about world history, or you have more people who are exposed to all of these great artists who are trying to invoke an emotion or invoke the feeling or make some sort of action or symbol that was impacting the world, or have persons who have been able to listen to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony or Mozart's pieces and able to listen to it and like, oh, I understand what he's trying to do.
What do you think about the Republicans who think that colleges and schools it's getting like kids thinking, like non-conservative thoughts. It's more lefties, like colleges.
I think
colleges and stuff like that.
I think those people are just a bunch of whiny bitches who never actually stepped foot onto a college. because at least for me,
that's actually what they say, man. They're like that. Colleges are teaching their kids to think like, all the leftist stuff.
Here's what I'll say, right? At least from my experience in college, I can't speak to what the typical college student is going through today, but when I was in college, in undergrad and in law school, I had lefty professors, I had Republican professors, I had professors you couldn't tell what political party they were. And so my question to those Republicans is, what is the indoctrination that you have a problem with, right? So do you have a problem with them promoting diversity or equality or, hey, maybe some of the things we've always been doing aren't the right way to do things? Then I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with people thinking differently. And what you also have to keep in mind is that historically, through all of time, universities and colleges was kind of the time where people went and got to express all of these crazy ideas,
Yeah, and that's what I think about I got from college, the experience. Like, it was worth it for me and the connections that I made,
Yeah, and
shit like that.
You're always gonna have fucking crazy people with all of these that has led us to the current state of where we're at with cancel culture and all of this. And I guess kind of leads me to what I wrote on my topic, which was I wanted to clarify something about cancel culture. The thing I truly can't stand about cancel culture is when they go back.
Before we get into that, the last thing that I guess we didn't really touch on was the affordability of college. That's another thing you kind of put on there. What do y'all think as far as like the pricing of everything, I guess, and all the fees that are attached to tuition and all of that?
See,
that's expensive, man. It's getting more expensive.
More than you, like Raymond was touching on the base of you're learning about all these different things, like the value of the knowledge. That's one part of it. When I was talking about, is it a scam, is the prices. The prices were back in the 50s, 60s, and so on. It wasn't as expensive to go to a college to have
and that aspect.
But yeah, I know you didn't make as much. I understand that as well. But
in that aspect,
they're government, man. They're government funded, and the loans that kids get are from the government.
Well, here's the thing.
And the colleges are like businesses, man. They run
it like a business. I'm saying, yes.
And of course, because they can get so much money from the government, that's why they up their prices.
Of course, this is why I'm asking: is it a scam?
You're half right, George. So like, you're 100% that the way they charge shit right now is 100% a scam. I think the difference from what the 50s and 60s is that a lot of these colleges were subsidized by the government, right? So whenever something's subsidized by the government, you get a lower price, right? I forget, it escapes right off the top of my head, but I want to say that sometime in the 70s or 80s, government subsidies left the colleges and universities and all of that, and that's when prices really started skyrocketing up.
Right, but the loans are
instead of federal. I think the loans is a different from
right, but that still has to do with why prices are so high.
Well, yeah, because
you can get loans.
Instead of the government directly subsidizing the school and saying, hey, here's this fixed amount, they started subsidizing the individual, and they started giving loans to the individuals, which is a problem because you give a fucking 18-year-old $10,000 fucking dollars, they're gonna misspend that, and they don't really know the hole they're getting themselves into, right? But yeah, in that aspect is a fucking scam, and that's why I'm also 100% for student loan forgiveness and forgive all of that fucking debt, and then just make it fucking free for everybody. Like, why?
But most of the debt is gonna get cleared off are from the people that can actually pay this, or that actually are going for a degree that eventually is gonna be able to pay off these loans. So like you're saying, like going back to your conversation about, what's that sweet spot so that one person can get, screwed because of somebody else's.
Well, George, it sounds like sounds like what you're saying, and correct me if I'm misunderstanding you, but it sounds like you're saying, I paid off my loans. Why should that person get their loans paid off?
Right.
That's a petty argument.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like that. What's $10,000? That's the amount that you want for the government, or you're saying clear it out.
Clear it all out. And my thing to whoever is saying, well, I paid all of mine, so why can't you pay off yours? I'm like, ¿qué te importa? You know, unlucky for you. You didn't push the government to do the thing they should have done from the fucking first place. So because you just rolled over and did it and didn't question it, you're just gonna continue this cycle? No, fuck it. ¿Qué te importa? Tú lo pagaste. Shit, if you want a rebate for that, I'm down with the government giving you a fucking rebate for that. But don't fucking put shackles on the next generation just because you had to suffer through it, right? Like as a species, right? Our goal should always be making things easier for the next generation, right? Making things, lo que sufrí yo, we don't want you to sufrir, right? So that's kind of like saying that what that sounds like to me is like, if I told my daughters, hey, guess what? When I was little, I couldn't eat the second tortilla. Like, I had to only eat one tortilla. So fuck you, even though we can give you two tortillas, you're only going to eat one because I want you to have the same lesson I learned.
I love that.
That's kind of dumb.
That's not what really happens, though, right? You don't do that, do you?
No.
I'm just playing.
So Raymond,
they're lucky to get half of
it. I'm gonna leave that in there.
Okay, so I have this friend, and we were talking about this conversation about college being free for everyone. And that person says, no, I am against that 100%. And I asked her why. She said, because I'm getting my master's degree, and I feel like if everyone is able to get it for free, then mine is it's not as valuable anymore. What are your thoughts about that?
That's a petty argument. That's what I thought. That's against the very concept. That's an elitism, right? So that's like, si yo te digo, oh, it shouldn't be free because that means more people who couldn't previously go to law school are going to go to law school. And that's going to make my job harder. Well, guess what, motherfucker? We're living a free market. If I can't compete with the new lawyers, if I'm not on top of my fucking game, being able to provide the best fucking service, then I should fucking not make money, right? And if I'm just compliant because I'm in this elite fucking realm and you have no other choice but to hire me, that goes against the very fucking nature of capitalism, right? So I'm always all for, open it up. Let everybody who wants to go to fucking college go to college, and then guess what? That's where we get these diamonds in the rough. You offer somebody, si tú le dices al pobrecito del barrio, right, that hey, you don't have to go to work to the factory. College is actually accessible to you, and if you're smart enough to pass your classes and make all of these grades and do all of this, you can be something more than a factory worker. Why are we not encouraging that? Why are we putting these roadblocks to people like that, right? Isn't the whole ideal of the American dream is, hey, if you work hard enough for it and if you're good enough for it, then you deserve it. We're a meritocracy, right? We like to pretend that we are, but really, in reality, the way things are now, we're more of a class society. If you can afford it, you can do it. If you can't afford it, fuck you. You can't do it, right? So
just to kind of add to I mean, if it's free, that's not a guarantee that somebody's gonna get their degree. Like with your friend saying like, oh well, my degree's gonna be worthless, to somebody who's doing it for free. Like just because they're going for free, it doesn't mean that they're gonna, get that degree. If they don't pass their classes, they're not gonna pass their classes. So I don't know. The argument kind of seems invalid to me. Like, I mean, if they go through the same curriculum you do, but they don't have to pay for it, and they still pass, or maybe make better grades than you, then why can't they go for free? Like,
but maybe what I told her as well was because I said I feel like that the people who are thinking that are the ones that are worried that they're not at the top of their game. Because if you're at the top of the game, you're not gonna feel that way.
Exactly. If you're at the top of your game, ¿qué te importa, right? Like I take it back to that fucking phrase, like ¿qué te importa what anybody else is doing, right? So we like to preach that, you know, if you know, what's the phrase? If you're doing nothing wrong, what you have to worry about, like, then I fucking throw that right back out to those fucking people. Like, that motherfucker who got the free degree isn't gonna be a fucking threat to you if you're number one. If you're number one, what does it matter, right? So,
my opinion, exactly.
I'm all for fucking free college. I'm all for cancellation of student debt. If you want to call me a socialist, comunista, fucking go for it.
Cubans are gonna come after you, man. They don't like your kind.
The who's gonna come after me?
The Cubanos.
The Cubanos. Well,
okay, so
they can all
so let me ask you, Rigo. Rigo, what do you think about that? What do you think about what we just said?
Just want to throw it out there that Jorge's got that communist red in the background right there. Sorry, Rigo.
No, I agree with Raymond 100%. I think college should be free. I mean, I have brothers and sisters that are going to school at the moment, and it sucks that they have to pay so much for college, and just to be able to afford a house or be able to afford anything, they'll have to work maybe 4 or 5 years just to get to a level that they can not think about debt. I think how expensive school is at the moment, it's just ridiculous. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that owe a lot of money, and it's crazy. I feel like schools are definitely taking advantage, and maybe with free college, it would help at least close that gap of people being in debt. You know, that's what
Definitely,
I think.
Because there's a lot of high developed countries that have free healthcare and free college and are doing really good that are above the United States. I do get that a lot of countries are smaller in population and size than we are, so it's a lot harder.
Here's the thing I say to that. When people say, "Oh, the other countries are smaller than that," I'm like, "We're fucking America. Like, we're the country of exceptionalism." No, I'm not saying it's not harder, but fuck it, man. Why can't we figure out a way not only to do it, but be the best at fucking doing it, right? Like, that used to be our fucking pride and joy. Like, we used to be able to swing our big American dick around the world and say we're number fucking one.
Back to back World War champions, dude.
Fucking follow our fucking example. And now we're complaining, no, it's too hard. It's muy duro. Like, who are we? Like, what the fuck are we? Like, ¿qué es eso? That's mierda. It's a stupid fucking argument.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
but schools are definitely expensive, though. I think they are definitely making a lot of money. Like, there are schools that are making money for, like, just for profit.
And they're labeled as nonprofit.
And they are making some serious cash.
You just gotta look at the fucking University of Alabama, how much fucking money they bring in with that fucking football program. That's sickening, man.
I was about to make that comment. Not exactly that comment, but sports wise, more football.
And everybody was saying that that school was dead because of COVID. Everybody's doing their they're gonna have to do the Zoom calls and stuff like that, and people are not gonna pay that amount of money to do Zoom classes.
They were still charging like full tuition.
Yeah. Even when it went virtual, everyone was paying the same shit. It wasn't like they were all getting a discount. That's really annoying.
Those fuckers are ladrones, bro.
Dude, yeah.
They're fucking thieves. I have no sympathy for fucking colleges and all of that shit. Like, fucking cancel that debt, make it fucking free. And so here's the thing. It's not that we're making it free. It's just we're using our taxes for what we consider important, right? So it's not like college is gonna be free or healthcare is gonna be free. We're just redistributing the funds that we use on our taxes instead of giving how many fucking billions of dollars it is to fucking military or whatever. We're saying no, with when parte de este dinero we can have free college and free fucking healthcare. Why the fuck not, right? So I'm all for it. So we don't need to be involved in other fucking countries anyways.
Yeah,
I guess Biden just bombed what is it, Syria? Syrian targets.
Just to rope it all back in, it looks like I guess we're all kind of in agreement that college should be free for everybody, and I think it would definitely help. It would definitely help. The country as a whole.
100%.
Yeah, we could spend all day talking about this, but
yeah,
let's get back to what Raymond was talking about. You wanted to clarify something about the PC cancel culture. Let's get back to that, and let's hear your thoughts on that.
Well, this is just a short clarification for like the 1 or 2 people that actually listened to our podcast last week.
We had over 100 views.
Yeah, dude, we got 100 views on YouTube. It's okay.
No way.
I forgot to say I'm like account for like 98 of those.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
I'm kidding.
I was one of them.
I just wanted to clarify, because I think I said last podcast that I didn't really give a fuck about cancel culture. It's just a bunch of whiny people, right? What I would like to clarify, the thing that I do hate is when people go back and try to cancel you for something you said like 6 or 7 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago.
Like, what are we talking about?
Because not Eminem. I don't know what happened to Eminem.
I love the way you lie that song. He's being canceled for that because
it
says
he's not being canceled.
He's not being canceled.
No,
people on Twitter are bitching about it.
Yeah,
people on Twitter are bitching about it. But that's what I don't like. It's like, okay, like how pathetic is your life that you spent hours going through somebody's fucking tweets to find something about 7 or 8 years ago to try to fucking call them out on it now?
Like, somebody developed some algorithm to figure that shit out. Like, there's an app out there that does it. Sure, there is.
Even okay, let's say there is. Like, damn, how pathetic is your life that you're using that goddamn app? Like, it's still pathetic. It's like, who cares? Who fucking cares? If you didn't get called out on it back then, yeah,
Eminem's not gonna be canceled. If he didn't get canceled back then,
man.
He went to court and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and fuck with Eminem, like that motherfucker's been controversial since like day one. So it's not like
it's true.
It's not like back in 1999, everybody was like, "Oh man, we love everything he's saying." No, like his whole career has been generating money off fucking controversy. And kind of related to all of this is the whole shit with Dr. Seuss. I think is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, I got a conspiracy theory about that. I don't really know if it's a conspiracy theory or just
Rigo,
just the way I think.
Hold on.
Just go ahead. But I'll tell you what I'm thinking.
Can I guess what you're thinking?
What?
Because I think me and you are on the same page.
Go ahead.
This is all fucking generated controversy by the publisher to make more money off those fucking six.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Because you gotta remember, nobody was calling for Dr. Seuss.
Dude, Dr. Seuss was irrelevant until just recently.
The whole thing started was when the publisher came out and said, "Hey, we're not gonna publish these 6 books anymore because of issues that the books have."
So there's a movie coming out. Is that what you're saying?
No, man.
It's not that.
Netflix took the reins on that one.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Netflix original Dr. Seuss.
What I'm saying is that they created a demand for those books, right? So they cut off the supply. They're saying, "Hey, we're not making these books anymore because of racism." And so every fucking conservative person in the country is rushing out to buy those fucking books because they're not going to exist anymore. And that's driving up the fucking price of them. And the Dr. Seuss is getting free publicity because the more moronic people are not just not going to buy the 6, they're going to buy the full sets because they're like, oh no, who knows when the next time they're going to get rid of it. They're just making a shit ton of money off of fucking morons who think the left is somehow trying to cancel Dr. Seuss when nobody was talking about Dr. Seuss.
I want to say that the flip side is the same too, you know. I mean, I don't have an example for it, but I want to say that once Republicans are in the House, I think that there's some situations where the left take advantage of that
100%.
and expose that, and then they make money. It's a business, you know. It's all about PR and marketing and how you make the money.
It's a distraction. Like when a few weeks ago they were all up in arms about the Mr. Potato Head doll.
Yeah,
wasn't gonna be Mr. Potato Head anymore. And
I missed that one, man.
Well, what about the Bugs Bunny? The girl who they took the breast out.
No, you know what that is? Of simps, dude. It's a bunch of simps.
That's just a bunch of horny ass fucking furries that are mad that they're gonna be able
go
to
to horny jail. Bunk.
New Lola Bunny.
No, I heard so they're trying to get rid of mother, father, son, and daughter as well.
I've not heard that.
Okay, Juan.
Look it up.
Who's they? Who's they?
Like for example,
his
the
Pinterest page he follows.
No, like how they like Latino X. Same group of people.
There's not a group of people. They're just
there's just some retard in Twitter saying, "Dude, we should get rid of son."
Los hondureños on Twitter, dude.
Dude, Juan, who are you following, dude?
Yeah, man, you got some weird stuff going on over there in your social media, dude.
Yeah, man, I don't know if you want to. I don't be 100% positive. You want to share that screen right now?
Make sure you click those incognito tabs.
$53,000 right now.
What?
Bitcoin reached $53,000 right now.
Probably because of Dr. Seuss, man.
Probably, man.
That company fucking bought a shit ton of Bitcoin.
That's what they do with the money.
No, but like
nice.
that's the only real aspect of cancel culture I have a problem with is that shit where they go back in the past. All of these like controversies that you see on the news and all of that shit, that's bullshit. That's just somebody's making money. You figure out who's making money. All right, I've never heard of this website, but
yeah, I was gonna say what is.
Let's. Okay.
I didn't read into it, but I was reading a little bit.
Okay. So read what they're trying to replace it with, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's just like parent instead of mother. Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
It's not a. See, so this is what I'm talking about, like manufactured
the way
controversy.
It's worded, yeah.
Yeah, like this is shit that they post online to get people mad. Like you get mad, click on this shit.
What is the title, Juanito? What is the title of that article? Just curious.
Do you see how he had to dig deep just to find it?
No, I just went to.
Dude, it's the title, man. They just want to bring people in to look at that article. It's a clickbait.
I like the shirt. I like the shirt, Rigo.
You know what that is? What that is, Juan?
What?
That's legal language, right? So as a lawyer, words matter. Like you look at words, you got to be very specific in your language because a father is not the same thing as a parent, right? You can be a father and not be a parent. Right?
Yeah.
In the legal term of this, so you can be somebody's stepdad and you're that person's parent, but you're not that person's biological father. I don't know the specific reasons why they're changing all of this. It does look like some of it is to be more gender inclusive and all of that shit, but it does
Probably
have
just
some
for
legal
simplicity.
simplicity, legal consequences, and all of that. And especially, we actually live in a society now that you could be born a man, and then if you so choose to do so, be a woman later on. And instead of having to address that person through a bunch of fucking pronouns, if you just call that person, child or sibling or parent or whatever, you include all of that, and it just makes it easier.
I understand that, but as little as it is, or as minute as it is, I still feel that it's something that doesn't really need to be addressed or changed.
But it's not really being addressed or changed to affect you. Like, it has nothing to do with you. That's all. What they're talking about there are Congress rules and how Congress fucking does things in their own chambers. Like, nobody's coming to you and saying you're not allowed to call yourself a father, or you're not allowed to be the son of somebody. Like, nobody's fucking doing that. Now, the argument that I can see other people making is like, oh, we're going down this slippery slope, and you start changing one thing.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Al final, this is gonna, and you're allowed to feel like that.
Maybe it's not like I'm gonna think about it all the time, but it comes to mind.
What I'll say.
I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'll say to that. No, you're fine. I talk a lot.
Yeah.
What I'll say to that. What I'll say to that one is, at the end of the day, they do that to rile up your emotions and distract you from what might actually be an actual issue, right? So you're not the only person that's feeling like that, and you're valid to feel like that. But what happens is that you get enough people feeling like that, what they're doing is pushing their representatives or whatever to fight people on this stupid issue instead of fighting for an actual issue, right? So instead of fighting to have minimum wage, they're now fighting over, why did you change father to parent?
I doubt, man, this thing is even going to be brought up. Like, stuff like this.
Well, yeah.
Personally, if I would have looked at the wording just changed without that big headline that I had, if I just saw that, oh, they're changing mother, father on a document to parent, I'd be like, oh, it's just to make it simpler, less confusion, check off on this.
Like I said, but I did say
for
prior
me,
to me telling you this that I didn't read into it. I just saw it. It did come to mind.
Pero that's cool. Like, no te estoy, like, my goal isn't to try to make you like feel stupid for not reading. What I'm saying,
like when we're talking about it,
what I'm saying, that's a tactic. That's a tactic that they do, right? So
this shit that shows up on people's Facebook Facebook pages and shit. Like, this is
on Facebook though. But I can see where that it would, because like
when I say they, I'm talking about the media, right? So that's the other thing that when people on the right complain about the media, they're conveniently leaving out the right wing media. The media isn't all left wing; it's left wing and right wing, right? So you get all of these sources from all of these people who have their own objectives and their own goals. Something I personally do always when I try to read an article, and I'm not 100% perfect on that, because I'm human, is I always try to, when I'm reading an article, I'm like, what is the purpose of this article? What are they trying to do with this article? Is it purely informative, or they're trying to evoke some sort of emotion from me, right? So, like a perfect example of this is when you're reading sports shit, right? And as a Barcelona fan, if I read an article from like a Madrid-based paper, it's gonna piss me off because they're just shitting on Barcelona, right? So you always gotta ask yourself, what are they trying to do to me here? What's the information they're trying to provide to me? And a lot of the times it's just they're taking something que no tiene mucha importancia and making it a big fucking deal so that you be angry. And George says, oh, this doesn't get back to the representatives, but it's these small things. They keep growing, and like playing the game of telephone instead of being something very procedural and very boring and very stupid, by the end of it, you're like, bro, they're trying to get rid of people being called fathers and daughters and mothers, and they're trying to take people to jail for using those terms. Which you see it all the time, both on the left and the right.
Yeah, okay. All right. That wasn't really how I was feeling, but I see what you mean. They do try to do those things.
Yeah, no, I get what you were saying though. Que te da un mal sabor.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just kind of looking over this Google Doc, Jorge, I like your the items you put on there. Nothing.
Oh, man, we can go to my last week topics, man. I had some there.
But
I've got a
conspiracy theories. What do you guys? Oh,
well, I've got an important one on here from Rigo. Why is Raymond always late to shit?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why.
Dude, Raymond, I'm actually proud of you today.
Yeah. Hey, he was the first one, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'm so proud.
Hey, this I kind of want to go over this one that Rigo did put on here. And just because like my brother's about to graduate from tech. So it's kind of like relevant because he was just doing like a cover letter today, and I was kind of going over with him and all that. He was trying to get some feedback. I've got a interviewing for a job. How did you guys prepare? Like, how did y'all go about doing? I guess
talk to the people that are in that field. Ask them questions. That's
well, how did you? Well, I mean, that's kind of simple. How did you prepare?
But,
I guess
dude, that's you getting information from somebody that works in that position. That's the most valuable thing that you could probably do.
Well, you got to look up the company, like its history. You got to be knowledgeable. You got to know what questions to ask. Just like you're getting interviewed, you got to interview who's in front of you. The right questions.
I'll say this, and all of that's really good fucking advice, and it's all advice that I got. But I'll say at the end of the day, a way to nail an interview is just going there with fucking confidence, right?
Oh, yeah,
so
100%.
You're not going to ask those questions if you don't have the confidence, right? And you're not going to feel confident to ask those questions if you don't have the knowledge. But really, in all honesty, like before accepting any sort of interview, I always tell people, like, is this really where you want to work at, right? And what is your goal at working at this job, right? See, your goal is to just make money, then you go in there and you be the fakest fucking person just get the job and do the shit that they ask you to do to get your paycheck, right? But if it's more of I want this to be my career, then it's not just about a paycheck. You got to think about the work relationships you're going to be, right? So you got to try to be yourself. Because if they aren't cool with who you are, they might be cool with you in the interview, but once the real you starts coming out in a job, they might not be cool with you then, or you might feel like, restricted, and because you can't be yourself once you're in the workplace, right? So just be like the best thing is just know what you're looking for, right? So don't just accept any interview, just for the hell of it. If it's a career thing, just don't go to the first thing just because they're offering you a paycheck, because you're going to be miserable, a few months down the line when the workplace culture isn't to your liking, right? So if it's not, and this goes both ways. Like if you're a liberal, you're going to hate working in a conservative environment, right? And if you're a conservative, you're going to hate working in a liberal environment, or you're going to feel like an outcast or what, and all of that shit. You got to take all those things into mind. I would argue, though, that always work in places that make you a little bit uncomfortable, because you learn things about yourself and you get exposed to new things and you learn new things and all that shit.
Like, I mean, he's an entry, so he's just getting out of college. So you got to keep in mind also that you're probably not going to be with that company. You're probably going to jump. You're going to gain your knowledge, learn what you need to, and then you're going to jump somewhere else.
What about you,
I do that too.
Kind of want to hear from Rigo since he kind of asked.
Yeah.
I feel like he had something in the back of his mind.
I actually asked the question also because my brother's graduating from college in the summer or in the spring, and my sister is also going through the same phase at the moment. And then I was just thinking to myself, how was my experience whenever I first was looking for a job? And when I got out of college, I mean, I have no experience. All I have is academic knowledge, and that's it. And I think it was very difficult for me to find a job just because I didn't have that experience. And anything that came my way, I would take just because it's the first job. You know, you need a stepping stone. And just to get you in the door I mean, I didn't have companies going after me. I didn't have that luxury. But once I got the experience, or once I ended up having something to put on my resume, then I was able to sell myself even better. Because I mean, I think the hardest part is after college, you need to find someone that's willing to hire you. I mean, that was my personal experience, but everyone's is different. I mean, Raymond could have gotten like 10 offers right away, you know, because he's so good looking, dude.
Yeah, it was just to look good. And I kind of want to take it like even a further step back than after college. For me, it was like knowing like all the resources you had at whatever university you were at, like as far as your resources for individuals to help you build your resume. Like how do you make it look good, how do you make it attractive? Like there's all these resources that you may not even think about that are available to you at universities that I hadn't even thought about, but luckily I was involved with the right people that were like, hey, this stuff is available to us through the university. And then I know through tech also, like they even had like the professional closet, I think is what they called it. Like I was fucking poor. I couldn't afford a suit, but luckily they offered free suits for you to, rent out from all that. And you were able to actually, look presentable for these interviews that you were going to and all that. And then I think also is those career fairs, although they're not a real interview, I think it's like really good experience as far as kind of getting over like, the nervousness of talking to these other individuals. Cause, kind of looking back at it now, because I do some recruiting for my office now, and so I'm on the other side of the table. And so for me personally, where I've not been out of college for so long, I kind of take that into account and make the students feel more comfortable, more at ease. Because I remember talking to some people and they just like seem stern, like cold, like I'm a seasoned veteran, whatever field I'm in. I really don't want to be here, but my company, it seems like my company made me come here, so that's why I'm here. I'm not really here, to look for talent. So I try to take a different approach of a more casual yet professional, let these students feel comfortable talking to me. So, and that, like I said, I kind of wanted to take it further back, just if there's those resources out there, which every university should have all that, utilize those resources, and it helps, make that process a whole lot easier, I think, personally.
I would say, like, I got extremely lucky, so I'm probably like the worst person to ask about all of this shit. Because I didn't have to go interview a whole lot of different places. I like the way I got into my job now, like I literally attended an event that, to law school, what they do is that they bring in all these lawyers from the local area and they have them like give presentations on a like specific area of the law or whatever. And I went to one of these events and I happened to be like the only 1L person to show up. And
Raymond, but that's the thing. Like people going to events, like that's a good thing, Like take advantage of those. Like for like the audience that's listening to us.
Yeah, even if it doesn't go your way, like it's just good experience.
Right.
And what I would say is, and that's kind of what I was trying to hit on, is like being yourself, right? So like having the confidence. So like I went to the event, I was the only person there, and I noticed that the speaker, he gave his like one presentation or whatever, and I just went up to him like, look, man, I'm the only one here, nobody else is here, like let's just talk. And so we just fucking hit it off, like, and turns out he's my future boss, right? So it wasn't a formal interview process, but like we ate lunch together that day and we just ended up fucking shooting the shit. And my dumbass wasn't even smart enough to say, oh, hey, here's like a resume or here's my email where you can reach me at later in case you have any job openings. No, he didn't even ask me for it. What happens, this is why I say I'm incredibly lucky, is what happened is like we stopped talking and I was like, I ended up being late to my next class and I was like, yo, I gotta go, I'm late to my next class. And so I left and I didn't even like finish on a formal note. And next thing I know, I'm getting like a day or two later, I'm getting a phone call on my cell phone from some number I don't recognize. And it's him. And he's like, hey, I contacted the school and I got your contact information from them for you, because you really left an impression on me. And I was wondering if you would be willing to come work in my office as a private investigator initially. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like you're awesome. Like, why wouldn't I want to go work for you? But it's just those opportunities. Like I was dumb enough and lucky enough to like fall into it, but going to those type of events and knowing him, the way he recruits people, he like the questions he's always asking himself is this someone that I want to work with like every day? Like, is their personality somebody I'm not going to clash with? Like, it's like his way of thinking was, I don't care if you don't know what to do, what I wanting you to do, because that's something I can teach you. I just want you to know that you're a person I can work with. And obviously every employer is a little bit different. But yeah, going to those fucking events is a fucking godsend. And I know plenty of people who didn't want to go and then ended up not being able to get jobs or anything like that because when they graduated, they had made no connections, you know, or if they did go to those, they're like stiff as a board and didn't want to talk to anybody and just collected the little brochure and moved along.
Nice. So I can share my story.
Yeah.
So I did not go to college. You guys know that. You know, I didn't have the luxury or the ability to do it. I wanted to go, just I couldn't go. So I was a server. I was a server for 5 years, and then one day, which is weird because I actually went in on the day that I wasn't supposed to be there. So what happened was, one of the managers that works for the company I work for right now was talking to me, and she was, and then we were just talking, and she said, "Do you want an opportunity to make $100,000 a year?" And I just looked at her like, "Legally?" She started laughing, and then she was asking. She asked me if I was the owner's son, and I told her no. And then I was I was interested in what she had to say, and then she said, "I like your persona, how you're talking to me. I would like to offer you an interview." I was like, all right. So I went to my first interview with her. She liked me. Then I went and I had an interview with everyone else. Eventually I got hired. It was tough in the beginning, but now I'm one of the top reps for the site. And I just remember one of the questions that I asked in the interview was, what are your expectations the first 30, 60, 90 days? And then they liked that about me. They liked that I wasn't trying to, you know, like just start off and just, I don't know. I just know that was one of the things they told me they liked about me, how I was trying to inform myself of what the expectations were. And for your brothers or sisters and the audience that are listening, that's one of the things I recommend you do whenever you go for an interview.
Cool. Yeah, don't oversell yourself. Like, know your limits and you know, ask what are they asking, wanting from you. That's really important. Because a lot of things, what happens is you go into a job, you have no experience, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and then either because you're too timid to ask, you're just sitting there comiendo mierda, and you're not fulfilling the expectations they had or whatever, and then you can run into problems.
But you get lucky sometimes, and you are really good looking, you know? Just like Raymond is.
Not gonna be, man. Just how I got my first job.
Well, I guess just looks like we've been on here for a little while. Just to kind of wrap this up and I guess let people kind of know you guys a little bit better. I like this question that Rigo put on here. What is something you fuckers do to start your morning off? There's something special you guys do. Maybe, I don't know, wake up extra early, or I don't know, make sure you have like a crazy workout before you start your day. Let's start with you, Rigo.
Every time I drive to work, I listen to a podcast. At least I want to be informed.
You listen to
on
Cascarita.
the news, and I listen to Cascarita. So everyone, you guys need to tune in.
What about you, Juan? Anything special in your mornings?
Well, I have a 45-minute commute, so I like right now. I just got a puppy not too long ago, so it's actually I feel like that is making me grow up a little bit more as well. So I can wake up in the mornings and I like taking them out, and that just and going outside and just not worrying about having to get dressed or anything, just being there with my puppy helps me. And then I like
the hijo way.
No, that's what I'm like. Does this guy have a son?
Nah,
I think he was talking about his son, but he said his puppy.
Nah, he's always asleep, bro. He's asleep.
Why is that Michael Jordan bro meme? Like, fuck them kids.
I feel like taking a shower, even take a shower at night. It just helps me go through my day. And then that commute, I like listening to motivational videos, and then podcasts as well. And then sometimes just listening to music. It just gets me ready for my day, and then that's basically what I do. And actually, one thing that I missed is the first thing that I tell myself when I wake up is I'm getting a deal today, because I work on commission and I have to get deals, and I tell myself that every morning when I wake up, the first thing, I'm getting a deal today. And I think ever since I started doing that, I put it into reality, and so it started to, give it back to me.
Dude, that's pretty awesome, Juan.
Put it into existence.
All right. So what about you, Jorge?
Oh man, I just wake up, take a shower, coffee, and look at the stock market, man. That's what I've been doing lately.
Yeah, on that Wall Street Bets Reddit, dude. Yeah.
There you go, making that dough early.
Looking at the Chinese market lately, and then they just looking at the free market and just looking at the stocks.
Just a simple man, dude. Nothing.
That's it, man.
And then too crazy to get you. Yeah, nothing crazy. What about you, Raymond?
I wake up and I let out a very exasperated fuck. Like, then I just get fucking dressed.
Are you
I don't do anything.
Woke up that day?
Yeah. I really am.
Why did I have to wake up? Here's another day.
It is one of the toughest things I do. Out of my day, one of the toughest things I do is waking up. But once I'm up, I can get going.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing in the morning.
I'm trying to train myself to.
Oh man, that was a good one.
I guess for me personally, I don't have anything crazy. I've been working from home a lot, so what used to be my usual, commute to the office, whatever office I was going to, that's kind of out of the picture right now. I mean, I just wake up and I gotta feed these bunnies. Usually Alyssa does that, but if she doesn't have time, I come in here, feed them every morning, give them their treats, and they're super hyper in the mornings. And then I just get my couple cups of coffee in me, and that's about it.
And then you masturbate.
Yeah, that's usually around 9:30.
That's when he gets on incognito mode.
Incognito mode.
You gotta take a look out.
All right. Well,
all right,
guys. I think is we're gonna call it tonight.
All right.
Till next week, guys.
All right. Peace out, dudes.
See you.
Yeah.